All right, everyone. So if you're going to be skipping on fusing the new legendary Void champion, Tormund the Cold, which of course we talked about quite a bit by now, I wanted to go through a list of things that you guys can work on instead, because there's going to be a fair, decent amount of people who are not going to be able to complete this fusion, whether you don't even want to do it or whether you aren't going to be able to because you just won't be able to get the resources to do so. So I thought that I would make this video and kind of go through a rundown of things that you can do instead, because we've got 2 weeks for this fusion, and of course there's been a lot of mixed feelings. But recently, actually, a lot of people who have already fused this champion have started to discover that not only is that one passive skill, which I talked about yesterday, interesting, and it's actually his 4th ability right here. It's going to be Wintry Wind. Not only is this ability interesting and unique, it's actually just straight up bonkers in PvP, and it is insanely powerful and an absolute game changer in the highest tiers of Arena. So a lot of people have been asking me, do I change my mind about my opinions on the fusion? Do I think you should go for him now, or do I still think that it's okay to skip? And I would say for the vast majority of people who play Raid Shadow Legends and a very large number of people who watch my videos, my opinions are still going to be very similar, if not exactly the same as they were yesterday. It's still going to be okay to skip this guy. You don't need him for pretty much most aspects of the game, except for the one that he's completely broken in right now. But if you are a high-end contender in Arena, and you are somebody who is either in the Platinum tier arena, or you're somebody who one of your goals in Raid Shadow Legends in the near future is to be a contender for the Platinum arena, then you're not going to want to skip this guy because of just how unbelievably broken and insanely powerful he is in that aspect of the game right now. Now, for the vast majority of people who are never even really going to be worried about getting into Platinum, that's going to be a lot of people, that you still don't need this guy. He's not necessary for any other aspect of the game. And in most other arena tiers, in fact, I would say in pretty much everything Gold 4 and lower, you are never going to need a champion like him in order to be able to beat teams and farm medals. Right now, actually, because I have a really weak arena defense, I somehow managed to drop into Gold 3 overnight, but for the majority of time, I spend in Gold 4, and when you take a look at the teams, most of them are still not super strong, and you can always refresh and end up finding teams that are not that difficult to farm up your medals. So again, unless you are a contender for the highest tiers of Arena, you don't need to worry about getting this guy. But if that's one of your goals, then skipping out on this fusion, you're definitely going to miss out in the top levels of Arena content. Now, with that being said, for those of you guys who are skipping out, what are some other things that you could end up working on besides fusing this legendary Void rare? Well, first of all, something really cool about this fusion is it's an all Void fusion. Now, we all have mixed feelings about that, especially when it comes to the resources that you need and all of the Void potions that you're going to need. But something really cool about this is if you go to the actual fusion screen, you'll see here all of the Void champions that you can actually end up getting through all of the fusion events. So you have a total of 4 Void rares for every Void epic, so 4 Void epics is a total of 16 Void rares, and all of these you can end up getting through the actual fusion events, even if you don't decide to go for the final champion, Tormund the Cold, in the end. You still have the option to end up doing these smaller events and end up getting 16 possible different Void rares. So this is an absolute dream come true for those of you guys that are collection people, because of course Void shards are much more rare and considered more valuable to Plarium than regular ancient shards. So getting a lot of these for collection purposes, or if you want to get them because they are good, I know that you have an opportunity again to get Bulwark, which is a very good Void rare champion. There's some other Void rares here that are also really good. This is a fairly decent opportunity to do so, and that's going to be a lot less stressful and a lot less resource intensive, rather than having to get absolutely everything, including the rares or the epics, either or, and then the resources to fuse for the legendary. So that'll definitely really lower the resources that you need and hopefully make this a lot less stressful. I really wish that they didn't have this again as the Christmas event. It's a lot to kind of take in. The events take a lot of resources, so knowing that you have to fuse everything to get this Void legendary is a lot of pressure over the holiday season. But if you're just trying to get certain Void rares, that's a whole different story. Hopefully that shouldn't be nearly as many resources and as much work as going for the actual legendary unit itself. So that's something that you can do. Now, when it comes to the actual events, there's some good news and there's some bad news. Now, when it comes to the champion training event, when you take a look at it, it's 33,000 points. So if you are somebody who is farming food a lot anyway, you know, you might as well be working on it either way. You spend a lot of the time in Raid Shadow Legends farming the campaign in order to level up your food, to rank up your champions, whether there are events running or not. The bad news about this is when you actually take a look at the rewards, it's a 33,000 points champion training event, but the rewards are incredibly lackluster for a 33,000 point champion training event. And typical Plarium, what they do is when they include champions as rewards in events, because you need these for the fusion, they know that you're going to do this event anyway if you're going for the fusion, so they make the other rewards not as good. So any kind of events that typically have fusion champions have rewards that are died down quite a bit. When they don't have fusion champions, the rewards are a lot better because people don't need to end up getting those points for the fusion anyway. So when it comes to this champion training, I would say if you guys really don't plan on farming a lot of food over the next couple of weeks, I think 3,200 points is probably the best point to stop at for this Ancient Shard. That's not really too many points for champion training. You should definitely be able to get that. Anything afterwards besides the fusion champions, the rewards really do seem pretty lackluster. You have a little bit of silver, rare skill tomes, arcane potions. You have an epic book, but that's not until 20,000 points, and the legendary book is not until 28,800 points. So, you know, if you're farming food anyway, that's a different story, but if you don't want to go for it, the rewards really kind of drop down after this Ancient Shard at 3,200 points. So when it comes to the Arena Assault, it's actually a bit better than the Champion Training event because you have a full week in order to get 750 points, which is pretty reasonable just by using your regular Arena tokens. It also includes a decent amount of energy as well and an epic skill tome at the end. So I think this one is actually quite a bit better. Really shouldn't be too difficult to get the 750 points. Maybe you have to use one refill or so, but if you time this well over the course of 7 days, you should be able to end up getting the 750 points without any extra resources and scoop up these additional rewards either way. Now, the one that you definitely want to end up skipping out on that we have running right now, if you are not going to be working on the fusion, is 100% skip out on the Summon Rush. It's absolutely awful unless you need the champions for the actual fusion. It's a 7,000 point Summon Rush. And, you know, the rewards, they look decent at first glance, but when you compare this event right here that is running compared to a double rates event, absolutely skip it. You know, again, unless you need these champions for the fusion, don't even worry about it. Just don't do this event and save your shards for much better stuff in the future. I hate how Plarium does this. They really make summoning events very difficult when they have these fusions. They make the rewards very lackluster because they know people who are going for the fusion are going to do the event anyway because they have to, but that's never the kind of attitude or feeling that you should have doing events. You shouldn't feel bad about it because you have to do it. You should feel good and it should be enjoyable, and this feeling really gets to me, especially when it comes to the Summon Rush type of events with these fusions going on. So now overall, the general theme is when it comes to events that are running during fusions is the rewards are always going to be dumbed down a bit. Again, they do this because they know you're going to do the events anyway, even when there is a fusion running. So take a look at each event individually, kind of look at the rewards. If you're not going for the fusion, take out the fusion champions as the rewards and kind of see if it's going to be worth the resources versus what you're going to get out of the events besides what you actually end up needing for the fusion. And a lot of them are going to turn out to not really be worth it. So definitely going to be important for the next few events, which we don't actually have going on right now. Like, we'll have to see what the actual rewards are from the Artifact Enhancement event, the tournaments for the different dungeons, and of course there's still some more summoning events coming out as well. So definitely something you want to look into. If you're not going for the fusion, it could completely change your mind when it comes to what of the events to run versus not run. Now, what are some other little things that you can work on if you're completely skipping out on the Fusion, if you don't really plan on running a lot of these different events? Well, there's always a lot of other stuff that you can work on in Raid Shadow Legends that is not going to be time sensitive. Now, these are going to be things like campaign progression. You can always work on that. Not stressful, no time limit for that. Work on your normal, your hard, your brutal, or your nightmare progression depending on where you are in the game. You can always end up working on your missions and your challenges. These are something you always want to keep up to date with because a lot of these are going to be time gated. You can only end up completing certain one of them or certain missions when you end up unlocking certain keeps during certain days of the week. So that's something else you can always be working on. Things like faction wars, artifact management. This is something I really like to work on a lot when there's no time pressure of doing things in Raid Shadow Legends because, at least for me anyway, because I've been playing for so long, I have so many artifacts and it really is a mess just kind of keeping everything organized, kind of keeping track of which artifacts are good, which artifacts are bad, which ones I want to work on and which ones I don't and want to just sell, free up room, gear out champions, all that kind of stuff. A great thing about this is it doesn't actually take energy, so you can do this during some downtime without having to worry about spending energy. And I'm definitely going to have more artifact related videos coming up really soon because artifact management in Raid Shadow Legends is such a big thing, especially the longer and longer you play the game, the more artifact management you have to work on. So farming artifacts in general, just running through dungeons or running through various campaign stages for experience in artifacts if you're newer to the game. Farming masteries, that's still an option if you want to save out on a few gems. Now you have the option to unlock full masteries with 800 gems, but if you want to save 100 to 150 gems worth of energy, you can still farm them manually. That's something else you can do. And just overall non-time limited account progress. Always stuff that you can end up working on in Raid Shadow Legends if you're not planning on doing something that is time sensitive. Now, a note about resources. I know in some of the videos that I made to prepare for this Fusion, I said save your resources. That's always going to be a key when it comes to time-limited stuff because you only have so many resources like energy and Raid Shadow Legends when you have these events that come out with time limits, especially if you're somebody who's not a big spender. It's very important to have the proper resource management to be able to work on these type of events. But if you're not going for the Fusion, then you don't really have to worry about this as much. So if you've been saving up rewards like in your weekly tab, you can end up using this energy now. It's probably going to end up being a couple of weeks until we get another type of big event announcement. We might get some little stuff here and there, maybe some freebies or goodies from Plarium. Probably won't be anything too crazy, but it's probably going to be a little while before we get another big event type announcement. So if you have been saving those resources, if they're going to expire sometime soon, you can just end up using those sometime in the near future. So, and finally, the last thing that I want to end off on, especially with the video like this, very importantly, guys, the #1 conclusion to make from all of this, and the #1 most important thing in Raid Shadow Legends is no matter what you are doing is to have fun. Whether that is going for this Fusion, whether it is skipping out knowing that you are going to enjoy the game more by not participating and trying to get this Void Legendary Champion, the #1 most important thing is always to have fun and enjoy yourself playing the game. So with that being said, I'm going to end it here on this video, and I will also say this will probably be the last Fusion related video unless Plarium does something absolutely crazy that I feel like I need to get the info out there. I feel like I've talked about this enough as is, so you can definitely expect non-Fusion videos coming up in the future, more videos, guides, tutorials, all that fun stuff, including a lot of stuff about artifacts coming soon because that is a big part of the game. So definitely keep an eye out for that stuff. And with that all being said, have a fantastic day, everyone. Take care. If you guys enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. Helps out a lot. Feel free to toss a like, and more raid videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. So once again, have a great day. Take care. And until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.